I'm getting used to it. How about you? Today we're going to talk about, oh no, I have my bagel on top of the book. Today we're going to talk about this book. We've been away from it for a little while. It's Never Too Late to Begin Again by Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way, a very famous book. It's not at all unlike The Artist's Way. It's just written for old people like me. Ha! It's Never Too Late to Begin Again. Subtitle is Discovering Creativity and Meaning at Midlife and Beyond. And I think midlife keeps moving for me because it used to be, we'll call 30 to 40 midlife because I'll definitely live to 60. And then we'll call 40 to 50 midlife. Now I'm closing in on 60, so maybe midlife gets later and I'm going to be 130 years old, y'all, before this is done. Okay, we're going to do week 3. And as you know, she has 3 main tools that she uses throughout the book. They're the daily morning pages, the weekly memoir, and the weekly artist date. And she talks about those quite a bit in this chapter because the chapter really is about connecting with people, and she wants you to use your journaling and your thinking time to unearth those relationships, the ones with people who made a difference in your life for the better. I suppose for the worse, but I'm thinking we probably don't want to focus too much on that, although there is a little snippet in the book about that. Why is that light going on and off in the background? Is that because it's this light and I keep moving and blocking it? Oh, I gotta move less. The 3 tools, morning pages, weekly artist dates, and weekly memoir, all help you to do just about everything in every chapter. So she focuses on them in every chapter. But in this chapter, they get a little bit of special mention. In the book, she says, retirement provides a time to reflect on past and present relationships. And this whole chapter has a lot to do with relationships. I think it's really vital to look hard at the relationships you have. There's a term she uses in the book called believing mirrors. A believing mirror is another person who supports you in your creative endeavors. So if you believe that you can do something, a believing mirror believes right along with you. And that's a really great person to have in your life. I walk around believing in myself most of the time. So I think everybody else must believe in me, right? But it's not just people believing in you, it's the people who really support you. She gives you an opportunity in the book to list 5 people who have been supportive of you at different times in your life. And by supportive, meaning out loud, truly supportive, telling you could do something, helping you get it done, always believing that there was not ever going to be an issue with whether or not you could complete the task. So look and see if there are 5 people that you can list. And I did find 5 people fairly easily, and I think once you get to a certain age, you can look back through your life and find that, that Mrs. Margrave in your past, in your childhood, who really did believe in you, even though you didn't give her very much reason to. Okay, thanks, Mrs. Margrave and Mr. Call. Okay, so after you've written your list of your 5 people, then you choose one person and reach out to them if you can. Is the person still a potential source of support? If this person is a member of your family, they probably are. If the person is someone from the town where you live, they definitely are. But look at this, guys. We've got Facebook and the internet. That's where you're watching me right now. And I probably don't live next door to you. And here we are connecting. So think about whether or not there's a way for you to connect with someone who had given you support in the past. And then can you offer that person support? Not a tit for tat, but more like a way of expressing gratitude. It's just something to think about, and it's a great little exercise. Now, there are several exercises besides that in this chapter. There are the obvious ones that I've been talking about, which are the 3 tools, the morning pages, the artist dates, and the weekly memoir. But she also does a weekly check-in on every chapter, and that's where you see how you did, what kind of things came up for you this week. It's just some very basic questions about your journaling. There's a great quote in this book that has to do with believing mirrors. And it's from John Lennon. And he says, a dream you dream together is reality. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think about that. A dream you dream together is reality. Go. Did you get to the place where that kind of made you get a little explosion in your brain for just a half a second? It's kind of a cool idea, isn't it? A dream you dream together is reality. Well, that's true, isn't it? If you're dreaming it alone, it's a dream. But if you have someone supporting you in that dream, believing in you and that dream, having that dream along with you, it gets real. In this chapter, as in every chapter, an important focus is unearthing memories, important memories. But in this chapter in particular, she wants you to look at connecting with old friends, reigniting passion, recreating relationships. Because when you retire, things change. I am not kidding. When you retire and you don't have the structure of your daily job, and I don't want to say daily grind because I loved my job. I had a great job. I taught drama for a living. How good is that? But if you stop doing that and all of a sudden you're there wondering what next, it's kind of tough once you don't have that structure anymore, and your relationships do change. You have to figure out who you want to be in the relationships that you still have with family members or friends, and whether or not some of those relationships are supporting you in what's up next or not. And some of them may not be. On page 45, she says, creative endeavors are vulnerable, and it takes a great deal of courage to begin the delicate process of undertaking them. I'm sorry if you're hearing that noise in the background. It's my air conditioner. Now, in this chapter, she also talks about loneliness and isolation, because you can really feel lonely when suddenly you don't have all of your work friends around you anymore. And that is a tough thing. I could tell you, I know some people who've gone through something similar where they went back to visit people at work and it was just wrong. It felt off. The friendships they had were the people that were in the trenches together. And when they were no longer in the trenches with those people, those relationships changed naturally. And so now you have to figure out what next. What are the relationships that are meaningful to the next stage of your life? It doesn't mean you let go of everybody, but it does mean that some of those relationships are not as tight as they were. And maybe you need new relationships, or to redefine the relationships you already have to go into the next stage of your life. She says in the chapter, sometimes the most poignant loneliness is in the company of those with whom we struggle to connect. And that could be family, it could be friends, it could be church members, people at your synagogue, could be people in town that you see on a daily basis and you think, I should have a relationship with my mailman, I see him every day. Don't. It's a bad idea. Movies have been made, books have been written about that subject. Stay away from the postman. In the chapter, she also has a lot of quotes, and one of my favorite ones is this Rumi quote, which is, love is the bridge between you and everything. One way to express that love is through volunteerism. She does do a section in the book devoted to volunteerism, and I'm all about volunteerism. I volunteer a lot. Overall, the chapter is a really good one to talk about relationships, because that's a big thing for all of us. How do you relate to the people in your life? And once you retire, how do those relationships change? I think that's going to be a really important one to journal about. And I have not done all of the journaling for this chapter, but I'm going to tell you it's a little scary because I'm not entirely sure how deeply I want to look at that stuff. But in any case, I really do encourage you to at least look at it. You can probably find this book at your local library. And if you can't, by the way, my librarian says you can ask them to purchase the book. It takes a little longer, but if you make a request, sometimes it'll go through in a purchase order and your library will actually purchase the book based on your one single request. Now, it doesn't always work that way, but you'll have to check with your own librarian. If you don't want to get it at the library, I actually have a link below where you can purchase the book from Amazon, feed the machine, and part of the machine is me. So I do get a little tiny dividend off of the sale of the books from this YouTube channel. So I encourage you, if you want to spend the money on it that way. They're very reasonably priced, and you can order it right below, and it can get to your door in a couple of days, and you can join me in my study of one. It'll still be a study of one, but it'll be my study of one and your study of one, and we'll do it together. Also, I want to remind you to click on the subscribe button. It's a big rectangle, so just push it. It says subscribe. Push the subscribe button and then push notifications, and every time I put out a video you can get notifications if you push the bell that says I want to get a notification every time you put out a video. I put out a couple of these a week, so you can join me in my study of one, and we'll talk about more books. Next time we'll do one more chapter of It's Never Too Late to Begin Again by Julia Cameron, and then after that we're going to return to this book by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, Designing Your Life. So I hope you guys will join me, and we'll have some fun, and we'll become better people along the way. Awesome. Thanks. Bye.